the first television interview with the President and Mrs. Bush since America was attacked.
Make no mistake about it, these people aren't through.
How long will the war against terror go on?
You said you wanted Osama Bin Laden dead or alive. Which would you prefer?
Where might America strike next? And
how will you know, in your own words, when we have won?
Then, on a personal note,
do you get tired of people saying that your husband has exceeded expectations?
Well, I'm glad that people are getting to see him for how he is.
And for the first time, the President and Mrs. Bush show us the magnificence of the holiday White House.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is beautiful. We're lucky to be living in this great house.
Barbara Walters, the first couple, the first year, their hopes and fears, the first Christmas. 2020 begins in 60 seconds.
Unwrap the magic at the JCPenney Huge Sale, Saturday only. Save up to 60% store-wide. Extra savings before noon.
This magic.
Extra savings mean extra gifts.
It's all inside.
JCPenney.
No! No! Spy Game is a great spy movie with megawatt star power. Gripping Hale's Newsweek, 4 stars. It's that good, raves Joel Siegel from the director of Crimson Tide and Enemy of the State. Spy Game, rated R, now playing.
Why do I like holiday shopping at Office Depot for my friends and family? Because they have a shipping center right in the store. So I can choose any of their great gifts, wrap and pack them, and Office Depot sends them anywhere in the world. That means I can get just the right thing for everyone on my list.
It's empty.
Office Depot, proud sponsor of the 2002 U.S. Olympic team.
And now, from Times Square in New York, Barbara Walters.
Good evening, and welcome to 2020. Tonight, we're going to spend a very special hour at the White House. For the first time since America was attacked, President Bush sits down for a far-reaching television interview discussing his emotions and decisions as the country deals with terror and war. The President is joined by First Lady Laura Bush, and together they invite you inside the White House, which is closed to the public this holiday season, and also into their private family quarters. So join us now as we begin with a walk down the red carpeted staircase to the grand foyer and a close look at the magical decorations that have turned the White House into a virtual winter wonderland. Oh, I can already see how beautiful it looks.
Isn't it beautiful?
Will you be spending Christmas Day here?
No, we'll be at Camp David for Christmas Day with all the Bush family and my mother, and which will be a lot of fun.
And the dogs?
And the dogs, of course, and the cat. We even take the cat.
This is
Isn't it just
absolutely
beautiful?
Magnificent. How many trees?
I think there are 49 trees in the whole house, just decorated with snow and tinsel and white lights, but isn't it beautiful?
It is exquisite.
And when the rugs are up and the lights reflect in the marble floors, I think it's particularly beautiful.
This Christmas, obviously, is a very special Christmas, and the White House is closed to the public.
That's right.
And some of our viewers wrote in and said, you ask us to live a normal life, and you close the White House to the public.
Well, we just have to be responsible for the safety of everybody that lives here and works here, and including the press. So it's just trying to balance what always is traditional, which are the Christmas tours of the White House, with the reality of what happened on September 11th.
The other thing is the White House is a target. So therefore, it's hard to have normalcy when you know the White House is a target. And we urge the Secret Service to be more open-minded, but they convinced us that the security risk is such that we cannot jeopardize the lives of others.
We have a
and
friend.
That's why I'm really glad you're doing this tour as well, because then people can see how beautiful it is.
You want to introduce your friend?
Well, this is Spot the dog.
Well, I know. Yes.
Who was born here at the White House.
This is Millie's
pup.
And what happened to the other one?
And
What
then
happened to
Barney rushed into some other room. Here he comes.
Here he comes.
Hey, Barney.
Okay, we'll get him.
Come here, Barney.
This way. He's our new puppy. He was my birthday gift last year.
Okay.
He's a good man.
And this is
Good
the...
man.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hey, Barney.
This is the East Room where they have the entertainment and the
That's
special
right.
events.
We had a dance here last night for the Congress, the traditional congressional ball. And of course, this is the beautiful creche that Mrs. Charles Engelhard gave to the White House in 1967. It's 18th century Italian.
This was given during the Johnson administration?
That's right. Isn't it beautiful?
And it's here every year?
It's here every year. We always put it up. There are a lot of new figures. I think some of these at the bottom are new. They're all old, actually. They're all 18th century, but new to the White House.
This Christmas season, the White House has never looked more beautiful. Every room has been decorated. The Red Room, the State Dining Room, its banquet table lined with Christmas figures, and the centerpiece, a 100-pound gingerbread house built as a model of the original White House, including the front lawn sign, "Beware of Barney."
This year, our theme at the White House was Home for the Holidays.
And you have all
for the
these little
holidays.
houses.
And the White House, the plumber, the electricians, the ushers, built these beautiful little houses. They're built to scale. They're miniatures of former presidents' homes. This one, Rutherford Behaves, is one of my favorites, with the screened-in porch all the way across the front. For girls, for little girls particularly, I think they look like doll houses.
I love doll houses.
I love doll
Yes?
houses.
Speaking of doll houses, what do you say to parents when the children say, "I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, buy me, buy me, buy me"? Do you have advice? No help.
Yeah.
And this is obviously the green room.
Yes, and of course this room has the house of John Adams and John Quincy Adams. We're always particularly interested in the Adams family because of, obviously, the father and son presidents.
24 years difference between
That's right.
John Adams and John Quincy Adams.
Yeah, 8 years.
Only 8 years.
That's right. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. What was Christmases like for you in the past? How many years have you been coming here for Christmas?
Coming here?
Yeah, I mean, you were here when your father was vice president?
Well,
Didn't you
vice
come
president and
Christmas time?
president. That's right. We went up to Camp David when he was the president. Our entire family did, and and Laura and I are doing the same thing. We're going to have everybody show up there.
Including your father?
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
Listen, I love the guy, and I want to spend as much time with him as possible. It's hard to do, obviously, with my job, and he's very active, but the more time we can spend together, the better off it is as far as I'm concerned.
How often do you talk to him?
I'd say once a week, maybe once every 10 days. I get to work early. I'm an early morning guy, and I get to the Oval Office, and once I've done my mail or looked through the briefings or the threat assessments, I'll pick up the phone and call him to say, how you doing?
The threat assessments, they give you a list of the
Every
threats
morning,
every
you
day?
bet, sure.
That must be cheery.
Well, it's not, it helps me stay focused.
Really? Do you see them?
No.
I share some of the threats with her occasionally.
Every day you get a list of threats against you?
And not
Or
against me
the country?
personally, yes, I do. Every
Really?
day, of course.
And
it's
what's been
more
done
than-
about them?
Well, yeah, exactly, what's happening. And then that then allows me to ask the CIA director or the FBI director, both of whom come and see me every day. It's part of how we keep people focused on the mission and bring a sense of accountability into the process. I mean, we don't need much theorizing these days. We need action and results.
Do you discuss these things with your father?
Generally not, because we're not on secure lines. If we're on a secure phone, we do. But I do. He's very interested in, my meetings with world leaders. I asked him to go over and represent the country when the British people were mourning the loss of life in the World Trade Center. And I talked to Tony Blair yesterday, and he said, "Dad was great." And I said, well, I really appreciated Tony Blair taking Dad over to number 10 Downing and visiting with him. And it was just a very kind gesture on Tony's part to make the old boy feel part of the process.
I want to ask, this is your Christmas card.
That's right. Let me show you the Christmas
Thank you.
card.
Because I know that you planned the Christmas card earlier.
The only thing I changed after September 11th was the Bible verse, and it says, "Thy face, Lord, do I seek. I believe that I shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." And that's what I think happened on September 11th. And we saw a terrible deed, but we also saw so much good and so many people who sacrificed to save other people.
Now, the main extravaganza tree is in the next
Yes,
one.
That's right. Let's go look at it. Of course, this is always the huge centerpiece.
Wow.
Isn't that
Exactly.
beautiful?
Wow.
Great, isn't it?
And this
Isn't
also,
this
we had
wonderful?
written out to the states before September 11th to ask each of the governors to recommend artists to build little buildings that were important to the different states for the White House Christmas tree. One of my favorites are the boots made by a bootmaker, 85-year-old bootmaker from Nogales, from Arizona, who has
Not
the
Texas.
missions. That's right, not Texas.
They wear boots in other places.
Yes, I hear.
Put the
Matter of
Put the
fact, I saw
missions
you with a
in
pair of
around it.
boots on one time.
When I came to
In
the
Crawford,
ranch, when I
exactly
came
right.
to Crawford, you bet. That's right. It was a very muddy day.
It was a muddy day.
But then one of the sweetest and saddest are the Twin Towers, which are here.
Of
I'll
the
be here
world.
from a New York artist.
When you look back to your own youth, both of you, what were the happiest Christmases?
Well, I think the Christmases that were the most happy when all our family was together. You know, once we all started having kids, and to watch our kids or watch my brothers or sisters' kids enjoy Christmas, those were the ones I really enjoyed. Particularly as Mom and Dad started getting up in years, it was fun to...
Oh, they'll be delighted that
Yeah,
you
they'll
talk
be
about
thrilled.
It's just the right, especially for your
Especially
mother.
his mother.
Well, they are getting up in years. I mean, you know.
What
Me
is it?
too.
Yeah.
I mean, I had very sweet Christmases with my parents, of course, and my dad's no longer with us. But it's most fun when you have children yourself and plan it. I think it's more fun to be Santa Claus than to get presents from Santa.
I think Barney is having a wonderful time.
Barney's had a lot of fun with the snow.
He's been eating the snow.
Come here, Barney. Barney's got a piece of masking tape. Come here, Barney.
Oh, he's eating.
It may cause you never open your mouth again.
Yes, you certainly have a way with dogs.
This is a well-trained dog. Here means go.
To Barney, I guess here really does mean go. Well, as we continue, we'll move upstairs to the private quarters of the White House to talk about the day that changed everything, the country and the president.
When 2020 returns,
When I learned that the crash was not an accident, but looked like a planned attack, I knew we're entering into a whole new era in American history, that we were at war.
next.
Veronica,
Gerald,
have I ever told you that I worship each and every one of your bicuspids?
and you, Gerald, you have the gums of a god.
Introducing Braun Oral-B 3D XL. It's the only toothbrush with both pulsating and oscillating 3D movements for a deep cleaning unlike any other brush.
You have a mouth so free of plaque, it makes me weak in the knees.
New Braun Oral-B. Nothing moves like it, nothing cleans like it.
Is this gonna work?
Honey? Wow. What's the occasion?
It's our anniversary.
Oh, our anniversary is next week. Yeah,
I shaved my back hair for you, baby.
The totally new Nissan Altima.
It's the gift of a grandchild's laugh. It's the gift of a sister's advice. It's the holiday gift they'll really love. Time together, thanks to Verizon Wireless.
Now get 3,500 total monthly minutes for just $35 monthly access on select digital plans. So you can call anyone, anywhere in the U.S. and talk all you want with nationwide long distance included. And get a free Ericsson phone with activation after mail-in rebate.
So give your loved ones the gift they really want. You. Verizon Wireless. Join in.
Who is this?
There's only one national retailer that sells the top 6 brands of electronics. Sears. Where else?
Okay, girls, shopping for the fellas. Does everybody have the sweater they gave their husband last year? Pass it to the girl on your right. Box it, wrap it, and let's go to McDonald's.
Get to McDonald's now for the new all-white meat spicy crispy chicken sandwich. Definitely spicy, delightfully crispy, made just for you on McDonald's new taste menu.
Maria, I love it. Theo has one just like it.
Unexpected new tastes at your favorite place. Now on McDonald's new taste menu. McDonald's, a worldwide Olympic partner.
Thursday.
The murder mystery of Jack the Ripper is back. Perhaps the greatest unsolved mystery of all time. Until now. The most famous crime writer of our time takes on the most infamous murderer and tells Diane Sawyer she's found him.
So you think you know who did it? Absolutely, 100%.
Only on primetime.
Thursday.
This Sunday on ABC at 9/8 Central. She's been a double agent.
Come in.
Now she's the one being watched.
I'm ordering assassination of an SD6 officer. Target's name is Bristow.
Alias. Then at 10/9 Central, a client demands a shocking defense strategy.
You gotta be kidding.
Your Honor.
You're letting him run your court.
The Practice. It's a new alias, followed by a new practice. This Sunday starting at 9/8 Central on ABC.
After our tour of the public areas downstairs in the White House, we walked upstairs to the private quarters, which Mrs. Bush hasn't shown publicly since they moved in. It's where the family's private Christmas tree stands. And here the President and First Lady describe what they felt, thought, and did on that fateful and tragic day, September 11th.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? This is our beautiful upstairs yellow oval room. That's the formal living room upstairs for us.
Private quarters.
Private quarters. This is the private quarters. This is where we meet with heads of state before we go down to a state dinner.
And your own Christmas tree.
This is our personal Christmas tree with all of our own ornaments.
I see a baseball.
Reminder of days gone past.
Yes. These are all trinkets and ornaments.
That's right. These are the ornaments we've had for all of our years of marriage.
I see pictures of the girls.
That's right, and a little picture of the girls up there. And Barney, our dog, is up there.
Everybody's included.
Everyone's included. Oh.
And then we sat down with the President and Mrs. Bush to recall their thoughts and feelings on that horrible day that the World Trade Center and the Pentagon were brutally attacked. Let's go back to September 11th. Mr. President, you were in a classroom of second graders reading a school children's book when your chief of staff whispered in your ear. What did he say, and what did you feel?
He said a second airplane has hit the World Trade Center. America is under attack.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I was, I knew I needed to be clear-headed, and I was anxious to get out of the classroom to get the facts. But I was thinking about what responses we needed to take. First thing is I was concerned about the security of my administration.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to know what it meant. Yeah. America was under attack. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. And during this period of time, by the way, after I'd gotten out of the classroom and started getting on the phones, there was a lot of information, some of which was accurate, some of which was not. But the thing I learned was it's important to understand exactly what had taken place.
Well, you were then on Air Force One, making phone calls to your vice president, to other people. When did you say to yourself, this means war?
When I learned that the crash was not an accident, but looked like a planned attack, I knew we're entering into a whole new era in American history, that we were at war. One of the first things I did was talk to Secretary Don Rumsfeld and put our troops on full alert. One of the interesting sidelights, I know you had recently interviewed Vladimir Putin. At the same time he called, or right afterwards, he called in and informed our government that he understood what we were doing, and he himself was not going to put his troops on alert. In other words, the old Cold War era had finally began to recede in the minds of the Russian military planners. That was a very important step, by the way.
That he was leaving things in your hands?
Yes, that he was not going to respond to our alert as if something might happen to him.
To him?
Yeah. That's important. But I put, the point I make is that by putting our troops on alert, obviously I was in a war mentality. At the same time, I had also made the decision that if we found an airplane that was squawking emergency, that its transponder had showed distress, that I had given the orders to the Secretary of Defense to shoot that airplane down. That's a tough decision to make. But you've got to understand that I was the commander-in-chief and the president of a nation that had just been attacked by 4 aircraft. And we didn't know if other aircraft were coming or not.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Bush was taken to a secure location and then eventually to the Presidential Emergency Operations Center in the sub-basement deep below the White House, where, with the Vice President and Mrs. Cheney, she anxiously awaited the return of the President. As you waited, what were your thoughts?
Well, like every American, my thoughts were with the people who were in that building. I called my mother, I called our daughters, I talked to the President.
Can you tell me what you told your daughters? Were they frightened?
I told them that they were okay, that they'd be fine. They were frightened, I think. One of them wept a little bit. The other one was asleep still in Texas time zone. But I talked to both of them. I called my mother because I wanted to hear her voice. I acted like I was calling to reassure her, but the fact is I wanted her to reassure me.
Were you worried about your husband?
I was worried about him. He called me a lot during the day from Air Force One.
That's how you take care of each other.
Well, she's been an incredibly steady hand, as we say in Texas. She's been very calm and reassuring. It's been really a joy to see Laura's true strengths, for America to see the true strengths. The reason I married her. A lot of people wonder why she married me still.
Well.
They're now seeing why I married her.
Speaking of that, do you get tired of people saying that your husband has exceeded, you know, expectations?
Well, I'm glad that people are getting to see him for how he is. He also is a very steady hand. He's very focused. He's very disciplined. I said that 1,000,000 times during the campaign.
Now they believe
it. Didn't resonate then. But
when you came back and you went down and met with your National Security Council in this operations room, and they were all gathered around a table, what was the mood? What was it like?
Well, it was incredibly somber.
Anyone disagree?
No. We were resolute in our determination to get the facts and put a plan in place to prevent future attacks on America. We were at war. Every person down there realized that we had entered that we were facing a new kind of war.
One of the news magazines said that you have a gift for war.
Gift for war?
That's what they said.
Well, I don't long for war. I hope I've got a gift for peace. I hope the legacy of the Bush administration is a lasting peace so that our children, grandchildren can grow up in a civilized world, a world that won't face the terror that exists today. And make no mistake about it, these people aren't through. These are very evil, murderous people.
How will you know, in your own words, when we have won? It's not going to end, we now know, in Afghanistan.
That's right.
How do we know it? Will we ever know?
I don't think there's ever going to be an end to evil, but I think the free world, the civilized world, the good people of the world can strike a serious blow against evildoers. But there's got to be a lot of things we've got to do. We've got to make sure that the education system throughout the world provides people the means to be able to find work, that people are given freedoms, that women around the world are free to exercise their God-given rights and
But there's not
talents.
going to be a victory day.
Oh, no, I don't think so. But I think there's going to be moments of victory which indicate to potential terrorists that there's going to be a severe and significant price to pay if they harm America and or our allies.
When we continue, the President on the most difficult issues. What does he plan to do about Israel and Osama Bin Laden? And will he follow his father's footsteps into Iraq? Stay with us.
When 2020 returns.
You were quoted as saying, "I have not looked back on one decision I have made and wished I'd made it in a different way." You never have doubts?
Next.
And
Here's Grandma. Happy holidays, Grandma.
Happy holiday to you.
Lewis.
It's very nice to be here.
We missed you, Grandma. Lewis. 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 That's it. Say goodnight, Lewis.
Good night. Good night.
This week, get 0% financing until January 2003 on camcorders over $299.99. Sears. Where else?
This is Santa's Workshop 2001. Billions of wish lists come in from around the world. And UPS helps us navigate supply chain management issues. Oh, coal comes in for the Balkans for the naughty. Boy band figurines come in from Japan for the nice. Think about the logistics on that one. We have been a successful brand for centuries now. And for a number of years, UPS has been an invaluable partner. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, and he's working with UPS.
Doesn't Dad deserve a Norelco razor this holiday? Except no imitations. Give him the #1 selling electric razor, Norelco.
Could a mid-size sedan bring joy to your life? It can if it has a powerful V6, plenty of room for 5, and the freedom of America's best warranty plan. Introducing the new Hyundai Sonata. Life is better with one.
You aren't the only one who wished you stayed at home with that cold. Thank goodness for Kleenex tissues. Kleenex Ultra Soft has 3 germ-blocking layers to help keep germs from traveling any further than they have to.
Japanese are expecting a war.
Now on DVD and video, history comes alive.
We have to strike the heart of Japan the way they have hit us.
Pearl Harbor. Own it now on DVD and video.
When my child has a fever, I give her medication and then Be Cool for immediate cooling relief.
Unlike messy wet claws, this soft gel sheet stays in place and cools for hours. So she feels
cool and comfy.
Be Cool for cooling relief.
These days, there's one place where more and more people are choosing to start their day.
Good morning, America.
This is the place. Make your first choice of the day a good one.
I can't sleep.
I wish I was more like you.
How come you never asked me to get high with you?
A provocative new Once and Again, this Friday at 10/9 Central on ABC. 2020 continues after this from our ABC stations.
It's 10:28 and coming up at 11 o'clock, a deadly gun battle erupts in Brooklyn. We have late details.
Plus, we're learning about some priceless work lost in the World Trade Center.
And Sam tells us that we're in for more record warm temperatures at 11.
Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go.
Now head home for the holidays in any new Jeep vehicle with the security of 7-year or 100,000-mile powertrain protection. Plus, we've extended 0% APR and select 2002s through January 8th.
Pray for the fun, is the pudding done? But pray for the pumpkin pie.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Last minute shopping?
Last second.
Have a good one.
Night, Alex.
Window up there, Chief.
This holiday season, imagine if we all gave just one extra gift.
This is for you.
In a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go.
It's a toy.
You don't like it.
No, it's great.
You know, you're always going on and on about
I
how
know,
much...
I know, I know.
As they say, it's the thought that counts.
Hey, look, I really like it. It's the nicest.
Unwrap a Jaguar S-Type, now for just $4.99 per month.
Big plans for the world's largest landfill tonight at 11.
"2020 continues. Once again, Barbara Walters.
The job of president is never easy, but for President Bush, this first year has been a baptism by fire. American troops are fighting. Some are dying in Afghanistan. Israel is in crisis, and there is talk of a U.S. attack on Iraq. When and how will all of this end? As we continue, the president grapples with some very tough issues. The situation in Israel is horrendous. Israel has all but declared war on the Palestinians. Do you support Israel's retaliatory efforts?
I support Israel's right to exist as a free nation. And I made that very clear to the Prime Minister of Israel who came to see me. Here's what I think people must understand. That there are people that don't want peace. I think there are some Palestinians that don't want peace. Okay. Hamas doesn't want peace. They will do everything they can to destroy a peace process. A peace process, by the way, that was just beginning to mature and nurture and develop. And what the free world must do, and what the Middle Eastern countries must do, if they're interested in peace, and we are interested in peace, the Prime Minister is interested in peace, the Prime Minister of Sharon, they must rout out those terrorists, those few who would prevent the peace process from going on. There is no way that Israel can negotiate a peace process so long as its country is being terrorized.
Is Arafat, Yasser Arafat, interested in peace?
That's what we're about to find out. I said it's now time for Mr. Arafat to prove whether or not he is for peace. And the way he can do that is to aggressively rout out those who would derail the peace process by murdering innocent Israelis. And now's the time for him to step up and lead. He must show that behind his words of peace there is action, because now's the time. We need action. We need somebody to lead. Or else there's not going to be peace.
But at the moment, you do support what Israel is doing.
At the moment, I support the fact that we must rout out terror in order for us to get back to a peace process. Listen, I was so sympathetic to Ariel Sharon when he sat in my office, obviously agonizing over the loss of innocent life. These are a clear attempt to murder innocent people, and a successful attempt to murder innocent people. And this is a man who is the only elected official in the region, democratically elected official in the region, who has got the responsibility to defend his people, and he'll do so.
Mrs. Bush, do you discuss these things at night?
We do discuss some of them, certainly. We talked about Ariel Sharon. We talked about the situation that he faces as a leader when his people are terrorized. Just the same sort of situation we're facing in our country now. And, you know, we talk about things like that. We also try to laugh and try to relax and be with our friends and be with our family members and
play with our dogs.
Play with our pets.
I would say play with the dogs and the cat, but the cat is kind of hard to train.
I see. The cats are like that.
They are like that.
Even for a president, they are like that. Mr. President, it looks as if we are closing in on Osama Bin Laden, although you had said at one point it might take 10 years, but it looks as if we're closing in. And you said you wanted Osama Bin Laden dead or alive. Which would you prefer, dead or alive?
I don't care.
As long as we get him.
Yeah.
Are we closing in?
And it's not just Osama Bin Laden. It is the Al-Qaeda leadership that planned and caused there to be thousands of deaths in America. We're making it harder for him to find sanctuary. We are closing down caves. We're getting more and more of the territories under control of our friends and allies, and therefore we have a better chance of spotting him in person. We're tightening the noose on Osama bin Laden.
The question now is, where will you strike next?
Well, Barbara, this war on terror is so unconventional that there will be strikes that people may not see until we tell them that there has been a strike. So financial strikes are going to be incredibly important. Diplomatic pressure will be incredibly important. And there may be need to use military troops elsewhere. But let me caution you about this, that we've got a while to go in Afghanistan. The mission is not just to achieve military success. There's a humanitarian mission we've got to make sure that is fulfilled, as well as make sure there is a stable government that doesn't export terror, export heroin, and is a confident and peaceful neighbor to Pakistanis or the Iranians, for that matter.
Well, let's talk about Iraq, one of the countries that you've been talking about. And you've called Iraq's President Saddam Hussein evil. You've demanded that he allow weapons inspectors back. If he does not allow them back, is there a deadline? I mean, what people want to know is there going to be a point when you say, that's it, and will you attack?
Well, what people need to know is we're going to do our job in Afghanistan first.
Okay.
Seriously, no, I think that's very important for people to know. There seems to be an impatience here in Washington, D.C. about what's going on in Afghanistan. We've got troops at risk.
Are they going to be there for years?
No, well, I hope not. It's hard for me to predict. But I can tell you this, there's no telling how the world will respond, how nations will respond once we're successful in Afghanistan. I mean, it may just be that countries say, well, gosh, there's a full intent of the coalition to hold us accountable for harboring a terrorist and or developing weapons of mass destruction. Well, they may say, please, well, come in, let us
Iraq may say, please come in. Well,
could very well be. We don't know yet.
If Iraq does not say, please come in, you know what I'm getting at. Will we attack?
You're trying to get me to give Mr. Saddam Hussein a warning.
Yes.
And I will warn him that he ought to let inspectors in. I did call him evil because he is the one person on the face of the earth who's recently used chemical warfare, weapons of mass destruction to poison his own people and his neighbors. This is not a good man. And he signed an agreement, or agreed to allow inspectors in his country to show the world that he is not going to develop weapons that could be used against us. And I strongly urge him to allow inspectors back in.
He's stubborn, Mrs. Bush. If he's not going to answer my question, he's not going to answer my question, right?
That's right, he isn't going to answer.
Well, wait a minute, I did answer it.
He did answer. He gave you a very good answer.
Yes, you did. We asked some of our viewers to submit questions, and this is one that many people asked. They said, just this past Monday, we were told once again that we should be on alert for terror strikes, but nobody tells us what that means.
Right.
And we've detained hundreds of people. We've talked to nations all over the world who know about terrorist cells, but we still don't know where or how that next attack will be. How is that possible?
Well, because the intelligence is such that they're not saying we'll meet you at X spot within a certain city. They're basically saying we're going to get them again. And there seems to be an intense amount of information coming in, particularly associated with the Ramadan period. And therefore, I have the obligation of reminding law enforcement officials around the country, primarily law enforcement officials, that you must be on alert.
There are reports that Osama Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda may have radioactive activity that could be put into bombs. We just heard this. People feel, where do we go? We don't have bunkers. We don't have fallout shelters.
No, what you do is you rely upon a government to do everything in our power. You bet. And we have got FBI agents all over every single piece of information. But the American people need to know, one, we don't know whether or not Osama bin Laden has got a nuclear device. We do know that he openly bragged about trying to get one. And therefore, we're going to do everything we can to stop him.
Military tribunals, which is part of all of this. And, there has been a great deal of criticism back and forth, no jury, no right of appeals, trials held in secrecy. What's so wrong with the American judicial system that it can't take care of matters the way they are now? I mean, it has already convicted those involved in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and, why wouldn't it work? What do we need this for?
We're at war. This is a war, Barbara. This is, we're under attack.
But we don't want to destroy the liberties that we fought for.
I couldn't agree more with you. But in times of war, the president ought to have at his disposal extraordinary measures to deal with extraordinary circumstances. And remember, this is a continuing set of threats to America. If you knew that a trial would reveal sources of information which could jeopardize our capacity to defend the homeland, you, as the president, and certainly I'm not going to allow that source to be compromised. So therefore, there may be an occasion when it's in the interest of our national security to make sure that information related to a particular murder does not make it into the public. That's when I would use a military tribunal.
Not widespread.
No, not at all, of course not. And not only that, I would hope that we would be able to convict the killers in our regular courts. But I need to have the option. I refuse to do something to compromise our capacity to defend innocent Americans.
What about an American citizen who has fought for?
Yeah, I read about the guy.
John Walker Lynn. He's a 20-year-old American. Yeah. He fought for the Taliban. He's being held by U.S. forces. What do you do with him? Is he a traitor?
Well, we need to find out the circumstances.
And there are others as well.
Well, we think. We're not sure. We're just trying to learn the facts about this poor fellow. Obviously, he has been misled. He was going to support a government that was one of the most repressive governments in the history of mankind.
What do we do with him?
I don't know. We're trying to figure that out. I can't make any news right now because we're in the process of determining what to do with John.
You have so many decisions every day.
Yeah.
You know, and you were quoted in Newsweek as saying, "I have not looked back on the one decision I have made and wished I'd made it in a different way." But almost every world leader, I mean, even General Eisenhower, you know, on the eve of D-Day, confessed to some doubts. You never have doubts?
If I do, I'm not going to air them on national TV.
Do you tell Mrs. Bush?
Of course we
I should ask you, does he ever have doubts?
I can't tell you, no.
I'm confident that that we're doing the right thing, Barbara. You know, when I first started commenting about this new war, I reminded people that the farther we get away from September the 11th, the human mind is such that they'll want to forget the terror and the tragedy. They'll want to move on. But I'm not moving on because I understand that this is we're in a fight for civilization itself. You know, America may tire of a president that is insistent that we rout out terror. But I know this is the right thing to do. It's the calling of our time. It may sound corny to you, but it is. And we must succeed in order for us to realize the freedoms that we have taken for granted up to now.
As we continue, threats against the first family, do they worry? How have they reassured their daughters? And Laura Bush stepping up when the country called. That's next.
When 2020 returns.
You're going to be targets for years and years and years of threats. Are you ever afraid?
Next.
In this forbidden place, where man has tampered with nature,
This is how you make dinosaurs?
This is how you play God.
something unexpected has evolved.
They can talk to each other.
To a degree we never imagined.
On Tuesday, own the roller coaster thrill ride of the year. Jurassic Park 3 is relentless excitement. Own it on DVD and video Tuesday. And when you buy Jurassic Park 3 on DVD, you'll get another DVD free.
Totally new Nissan Altima.
Do they bowl in Italy?
Do they bowl in Italy? It's the birthplace of bocce ball, but you're missing the point of the story. A mom-and-pop bowling ball bag manufacturer in Jersey. Jersey is swamped with worldwide demand after their product is featured in an Italian fashion magazine. Why are you laughing?
I was thinking of bocce shirts.
Let it go. So they ship via FedEx International Services. With time-definite express delivery to over 210 countries, the bags hit the markets. The classic macroeconomic love story. Supply meets demand.
I like a nice love story.
presents now?
This holiday, there's only one place that has the gifts you want and the prices you need. Sears. Where else?
Nothing turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, like a packet of Hidden Valley Ranch.
Rediscover the skin nature intended you to have with Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion. Made with oatmeal, which holds moisture naturally, Aveeno lasts for 24 hours. Aveeno. Discover nature's secret for healthy skin.
Tonight on Nightline, if Osama Bin Laden's people were to explode a poor man's nuke, how prepared are we for the consequences? The dirty bomb. Tonight.
And tomorrow, imagine being denied a place to live because of the way you sound over the phone. How much can you tell about a person by the way they talk? On World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
She's a double agent under suspicion by the agency she betrayed.
I'm ordering assassination of an SD6 officer.
A new alias, ABC Sunday, 9, 8 Central.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Critics across the nation are hailing The Royal Tenenbaums. It's the film of the year.
Right on!
Rolling Stone calls it one of the year's 10 best. The Oscar race has begun. Premiere Magazine gives it 4 stars. It's hilarious. Gene Hackman, Angelica Houston, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ben Stiller, Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson, Danny Glover, and Bill Murray. The Royal Tenenbaums.
He also stole bonds out of my safety deposit box when I was 14.
Rated R. Opens December 14th in New York and L.A.
If you can dip your hands into luminescent water, and houses are the colors of sherbet, if suddenly the breeze kisses you while you are being kissed, you're not dreaming. You're in Puerto Rico.
Fly free to Puerto Rico. Call your travel agent or click on gotopuertorico.com.
Since September 11th, many people, wondering how to get their lives back to normal, have looked to the White House, not just to the president, but to First Lady Laura Bush, who has been thrust into a role she would never have imagined. How have they gotten through these frightening times? And does Mrs. Bush fear for her family's safety? You're going to be targets for years and years and years of threats. Are you ever afraid?
I really am not that ever afraid. I mean, of course, I'm anxious sometimes, but I'm not physically afraid.
What have you said to your girls, who must be very worried?
They're worried, I think, but they're also, you know, off, away from us. They're not in Washington. They're living their own lives. I actually just have a certain confidence. I have a confidence in our government. I'm very proud of my husband as president. I also know that, you know, things happen in life that we can't control, certainly. And I have a sense of peace, I guess I should say.
Your sense of peace and your composure has been very helpful, many people feel, in these last months. You originally did not want to come out and be that public a figure. Was it a conscious decision?
Well, sort of, I think. I think also it was just what happened. It was just, you know, really what happened. After September 11th, the day after, on September 12th, I called my staff together. None of them got their job, their so-called very glamorous job at the White House, thinking they were going to be told to run from the White House.
Everybody out!
But they were afraid, they were anxious. A lot of young women worked for me. But I said, because of what's happened, we have the responsibility and the opportunity to be constructive. It was not a role I expected by any means, but I'm glad I was prepared for it. And in many ways, I was prepared for it because I'd been a teacher, I'd worked with children, and you know, that's what I'd done my whole life.
Mr. President, on the domestic side, when we talk about coping, a lot of our viewers wrote that they're very concerned about the economy, and they say they understand that you've said we should return to a normal life and travel and shop and spend money, and then they say, but how can we do this when the economy is in recession and we're losing jobs?
Well, I share that same concern, Barbara. I'm very worried about those citizens who've lost work, those families that have been affected by layoff. And I've been working with Congress to put a stimulus package in place that I think will be part of.
Think they're going to do it?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. Listen, the economy slowed down last March. It looked like it was beginning to recover some, and then the attack obviously has deeply affected the American psyche, and has affected corporate America, and has affected the economy. And we just must recover from it, and that's what we're going to do.
Final question. Faith is very important to both of you. Do you think there is a reason why you are president at this time? That it's your
No, I don't
destiny?
think so. I don't think so. I think somebody said, well, you know, gosh, God put you here. I don't believe God picked who is going to be the president. I do believe that in God we can find great strength and great solace and great comfort. And I feel the prayers of the American people. People say, how do you know that? Well, it's hard to define faith, but I feel it. People just have to take my word for it.
You're nodding, Mrs. Bush.
That's right. People come up everywhere and tell us they're praying for us, and they're praying for our country. And we really see that. We see it all over our country. It's amazing since September 11th how people no longer take for granted how great our country is, and how appreciative we all are and thankful we all are to be Americans.
Our White House visit is coming to an end, but not before one more visit with the real boss of the House, Barney, and some special words from the President. That's coming up.
When 2020 continues.
This Christmas, there will be a great many people who will have an absent chair, an absent place at the Christmas tree. Do you have a special message for them?
Next.
Next on Eyewitness News, the Pentagon identifies the U.S. soldiers accidentally killed by a U.S. bomb.
Plus the future of fresh kills. See what plans are being considered for the landfill.
And the strange effects this warm weather is having on some people. Next.
A gift from Kay means you can be assured of two things. First, that Kay diamonds are hand-selected for exceptional beauty. And second, that she'll absolutely love it. This holiday, Kay's beautiful diamond earrings start from only $99.95.
Every kiss begins with K.
What if you and me just drive up the coast and never come back?
Once upon a time, a stranger came to town.
You seem familiar to me.
I don't even know who I am.
Only to discover he might not be such a stranger after all. You are my son, Jim Carrey.
Do you remember me?
No, but I'll sure try.
The Majestic. Rated PG. Starts Friday, December 21st.
The holidays come to life at Marshall's. At up to 60% off department store prices, there's something for everyone on your list.
What will you find today?
Doesn't your guy deserve a Norelco razor? This holiday, give him the only electric razor with built-in shaving lotion, the new Norelco Advantage.
Unwrap the magic at the JCPenney Huge Sale, Saturday only. Save up to 60% store-wide. Extra savings before noon.
This magic.
Extra savings mean extra gifts.
It's all inside.
JCPenney.
Our presidential Christmas tour ends now where it began, in the staterooms of the White House, where the halls are decked in breathtaking style. And at least one creature is stirring, a little black dog, who seems awfully anxious for a white Christmas. But first, President Bush has some encouraging words for America. This Christmas, there will be a great many people who will have an absent chair, an absent place at the Christmas tree, whether it was September 11th or whether it's in the war in Afghanistan. Do you have a special message for them?
I do. I want the people to know that there's a lot of prayer, and that there's a good and gracious God that loves them, and that for those serving overseas are serving a noble and just cause. And for those who died on September 11th, we won't forget their deaths. And that out of evil will come good. And part of the good is the message of the holiday season. I also hope the American people use this as an opportunity to give generously to people in need.
This is a very special treat for us to see these rooms with both of you. I know you have shown them to some of the press, but this is the first time you've come.
The first time I've been.
Are you impressed?
I'm awesome. Laura's done a heck of a job decorating.
You climbed up that ladder yourself and you put that up there, right?
Actually, this is a spectacular tree.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is beautiful. We're lucky to be living in this great house, the people's house. You know, I hopefully next year, when we do the job that people want us to do, that the tours will be back and more Americans can come and see it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Thanks a lot. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays,
Thank
dear.
you.
Thank you.
Come here, Barney.
No, he's eating that.
Right.
By the way, that's fake snow under the tree. I only hope they can keep Barney away from the gingerbread house in the state dining room. As we said earlier, the White House is closed to the public this Christmas season for reasons of security. The last time this happened was after the assassination of John F. Kennedy in November of 1963. But for nearly 140 years, beginning in 1800, the doors to the White House were thrown open to the public on New Year's. Long lines of citizens would form, and the president would shake the hands of visitors as they entered the White House. While that tradition is now gone, the White House at Christmas time has become a more important symbol of our national expression of holiday goodwill. And all our recent first families since the Kennedys have shared their celebration with all of us. We are most thankful to the President and Mrs. Bush for allowing us to visit them during this difficult year so they could share Christmas at the White House, the people's house, with all of you. And we share the President's hope that by next year the doors to the White House can be thrown wide open once again. Next week, another politician who rose to the occasion this historic year, New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. In just a few weeks, he'll be leaving office after an amazing 2 terms in which both the city and the man himself were transformed. You were described as self-righteous, abrasive, combative, hostile.
Sounds like a New Yorker.
Now the same man comforts children at funerals.
I tell them that nobody can take their daddy from them, that all these wonderful things that they're hearing about their dad is in them.
What are his future career plans? What are his future romantic plans? And what about New Year's Eve? Do you want thousands of people in Times Square this year? You're not afraid?
Hundreds of thousands.
Mayor Rudy Giuliani, his exit interview, looking back and looking forward. That's next Wednesday on 2020. And tomorrow, on Primetime Thursday, the murder mystery of Jack the Ripper is back. Perhaps the most infamous killing spree of all time, possibly solved by writer Patricia Cornwell.
So you think you know who did it? Absolutely. With what degree of certainty?
100%. 5 women viciously murdered. The killer never identified until now.
I'm 100% certain that this case is closed.
Diane Sawyer with Patricia Cornwell and the real Jack the Ripper, tomorrow at 10, 9 Central. And that's our program for tonight. We thank you for joining us. I'm Barbara Walters. For all of us here on 2020, have a good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Leslie Nielsen stars in Santa Who, Sunday on ABC.
Up next, a deadly gun battle in Brooklyn. Plus, we're learning about some priceless work lost in the World Trade Center. Eyewitness News starts in 1